being a child, I loved the purity of Superman. It was a time when I was starting to understand what movies were.
James didn't know that Superman was in his future. He wasn't sure that that was the one he should be doing. And then he called me one day and he said, I have a way in. I know what I want to talk about.
I had been trying to crack it for years. This character's noble and he's beautiful.
We just finished day 1 on Superman.
It's been a hell of a week at the office.
His scripts are so unique, his stories, they're heartfelt.
You know, we love the opportunity to play with the incredible DC library of characters and stories, and we really want to do justice for them.
Welcome to the Daily Planet. It's been so much fun to have the gang together finally.
I wear my trunks on the outside of my pants. Like, it's liberating.
James and his stories, he does it with heart.
Superman is a character who's good.
Who is filled with hope. He saves people because it's the right thing to do. We could use a little bit more of that.
Superman was my original superhero, and it started in comics, and I think it's going to be a game changer.
This is the beginning of the future. They are launching a new era right now.
It's the beginning of a whole new adventure and a whole new universe.
We're just getting started, and we're already deep in the DC universe. In James Gunn we trust, and I think we can do it.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So James Gunn just released behind the scenes footage of Superman. In the footage, we did see the motivation behind why James Gunn wanted to make a Superman project, his goal and his vision on what he wanted Superman to be like. And we also do get a good sense on how they filmed this movie. And a lot of it is very practical. We're talking about the fire, from the cape to the flames, the robots, that was all real. So it is Superman Day. And there has been so much that has been released, like McFarlane toys are now out with some Superman action figures, Lex Luthor action figures. Funko Pop also came out with their Crypto, Superman, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor toys. A lot of artwork was revealed. We also do have another picture of the full cast, or the majority of the cast, all together wearing a Superman shirt. So it is a good day for all Superman fans and for comic book fans in general. So with James Gunn releasing the behind the scenes footage, this is not going to be the last thing James Gunn will show before April does end, or for sure before the movie does come out. James Gunn is currently working on a trailer, which is going to be the main big trailer. It's quite unclear when that main big trailer will release, but I do think that there's a possibility that it could be released before Thunderbolts does release. Similar to how Marvel is trying to market the Fantastic Four, they want the Fantastic Four trailer that released yesterday to be played before the Thunderbolts film. It's a promotional push, and so if James Gunn were to release the main big trailer for Superman anytime within these next 2 or 3 weeks, it could be played before Thunderbolts, because you are now marketing towards a fan base that does love superhero films. Back on April 13th, somebody did ask James Gunn, Superman second trailer when? James Gunn responded, we just released 5 minutes of footage in theaters, so it will be a beat, meaning that it'll take some time. Moving on towards the breakdown for the behind the scenes footage, we are going to be scattering everywhere through the footage because there's so much that we have to discuss, starting with Metamorpho. As we can see here, this is our first official look of the most comic accurate Metamorpho look we have ever gotten in live action. I believe that it is amazing. As you can see, he is half purple, half orange, very much like what the comics have been showing us. If you guys are wondering what is this orange and purple correlation, like what is going on here, it is a visual representation of his elemental powers and the chemical changes in his body. In his default human form, Metamorpho's skin is described as lumpy and bald with distinct color patches. This choice of being half orange and half purple does stem come from the creative vision of its creators, and they wanted him to look very freakish. Rex Manson, who was an adventurer, was hired by businessman Simon Stagg to retrieve the Orb of Ra, an ancient Egyptian artifact. But then as he was betrayed and exposed to the orb's radioactive energies in a pyramid, Rex was transformed into Metamorpho, aka the Element Man, hence the reason why he looks like this today. Part of his powers is that he's able to shapeshift, transform his body into any element or compound found in the human body. He can alter his form, create weapons, and is almost invulnerable due to the powers that he does possess in his body. We move on towards the next frame and we can see here Hawkgirl, right? Hawkgirl is in this movie. She continues to carry this signature mace, which is her primary weapon. It's perfectly suited for her combat style. She literally likes to take this mace like everywhere, and is often made or infused with NTH metal. It's very durable, it's able to deliver devastating blows, and when you combine that with her superhuman strength, it makes her very deadly. And she looks amazing, right? I like her suit, looks super clean. The helmet also looks on point. She does look like a very powerful figure. She's able to disrupt energy fields, magic, and even harm supernatural entities due to her primary weapon. Here we get a better look at Calyx, right? And yes, it is practical. It is freaking amazing how James Gunn was able to create Calyx in a practical way. None of this is CGI. I mean, there will be some scenes where it is CGI, but overall, 90% of Calyx's scenes, it is going to be practical. Now, there was a comment that James Gunn made about a year ago, and somebody did ask, is Legacy gonna have practical effects with VFX or mostly just VFX? James Gunn responded, Legacy is only practical effects. Now, of course, this was not the answer he was supposed to be given because he did read the question wrong, and he said, oh, sorry, misunderstood the question. Yes, we have tons of practical effects like I have in my other films. This is the reason why Calyx is practical and it is not CGI. Part of the reason why James Gunn is going the practical route, even though there will be some CGI, is because he also referenced about a year ago that in general, he does spend half of the production budget on the first 2 acts and the second half on the 3rd act, and especially with spectacle films. And that is because in the last act, usually you need to have like this big CGI battle and you gotta do things that you just cannot do practically. Hence the reason why half of the budget went to the 3rd act and the other half went to the first 2 acts, simply because it is cheaper to go on the practical route. So James Gunn has been really cost efficient and he really does know what he's doing. Hence the reason why in these other scenes here we can see Superman literally in the snow. There's no like fake background, there's nothing fake about the snow. His suit was real. David Corenswet literally had to be in the snow in just a Superman suit, knowing that it's super cold. You just gotta do what you have to do. And in this next scene you can see the fire being blown into a building. Once again, all practical effects. The fire is not CGI. Here we do have the Lex Luthor soldiers. This is the exact same scene where I'm gonna assume they do capture Mr. Terrific, where he later goes into a pocket dimension. It's one of the ways that Lex Luthor likes to keep his prisoners in jail. We also call this the Phantom Zone and other alternate realities. It's like a interdimensional prison for anybody that Lex Luthor does not like. We are going to be seeing Superman there in a pocket dimension, maybe also Mr. Terrific, and many more. If you guys are wondering why the soldiers are in purple and green, it is the exact same colors of Lex Luthor. So these are definitely Lex Luthor soldiers. It's pretty funny how even in the behind the scenes footage, they do not show who Ultraman is, like who is behind that mask. I'm pretty sure that they're keeping all of this under wraps. Now going back to the first scene of the behind the scene footage, we can see Superman walking into a big white screen, and in the background there is a stunt double. Very common to have for all main actors, because with a movie like Superman, there is going to be a lot of action sequences and you definitely do need a stunt double. But that cape, man, like I'm telling you, the cape looks amazing, it looks clean. James Gunn for sure took a lot of time getting the cape right. We also did see another scene where David Corenswet is in his burnt suit. Now what's very interesting about this is for sure during the scenes where we have seen him getting blasted with fire, right? So that battle in the city with kaiju, also seeing the civilians throwing stuff at him or calling him names, it is those scenes that we have seen in all of the trailers and special previews. In this moment here, David Corenswet did state that they were just done with their first day of shooting, meaning that everything that we have been seeing in terms of the trailers and teaser trailers, all of those scenes were done on the first or second day. This could possibly explain the reason why all of the scenes that we have been looking at, they were done months ago, and that is why it looks so good. It looks so good because they have spent so much time with this footage. They got this done in the first few days. What did we talk about before, right? Everything that has been practical and what they wanted to film practically, it was done in the first few days. And this also does mean that whatever's in the 3rd act has not been shown yet in any of the trailers, not even in the behind the scene footage. For sure, the majority of the 3rd act is going to be CGI. They probably filmed that in a whole other different building, but they are hiding something. Another Another piece of footage that did catch my attention was this one right here, right? We see Lex Luthor in a all-out black suit and maybe in a pocket dimension himself, not as a prisoner, but to check up on somebody, right? This is just my own theory and speculation, but he is definitely with a white Martian. It just has to be, right? Like if you look at the comics and we look at how the white Martians looked, it looks very similar to what we see here in this piece of footage. White Martians are a warlike, telepathic, shape-shifting race from Mars in the DC comic universe. They are different and distinct from the peaceful green Martians, like Martian Manhunter. There was a civil war between the savage white Martians and the philosophical green Martians, which ended with most white Martians exiled to the Still Zone. But later in that story, some escaped or were imprisoned in the Phantom Zone. Hence the reason why I think that this is what we're seeing here. It is a white Martian in the Phantom Zone. And I do not know if Lex Luthor is going to say, I will release you, but you have to take on Superman. We'll see. But it's very interesting. What's dangerous is that they do view themselves as superior to humans, and have a history of experimenting on early humans. So they have multiple powers. They can shapeshift, telepathy, superhuman strength, speed and durability, invisibility, intangibility, flight, regeneration. They really are the real deal. So let me know if I did miss anything else in the behind the scene footage. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more, but this is all I got for today's video. If anything, this made me much more excited about the film. I cannot wait to see how beautiful this film is going to look, knowing that the majority of this film is going to be practical. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.